Make sure everything's working here. Okay. So, recap for Legends here for the last session. If you guys remember, we left off with Tetsu blowing himself up and taking half the system with him, and also a lot of the pursuers that were coming after us. On the bright side, uh, that was hopefully a lot of originators that he took out. Um, oh, I'm on the phone right now. Yeah. As you can hear, it's difficult to get it together. Uh, yeah, he took out half the system, which again a lot of originators got taken out there. I hope, which is good because those people are terrible. Um, I'm talking with Saya in the captain sheet. I had been going on for about a day at this point of just like evading and kind of like trying to get away because I know there is a time gap between when uh, High Castle is supposed to approach me and when um, like just the time that I had left for Tetsu, that system that Tetsu and I were in. Sai and I get to talking, and I kind of like bring her up to speed with the actual mission, and kind of like in a way like including her in it in the way I would include like another ally. So it's like yeah, kind of a interesting thing for her, and she kind of gets to see the side of things, like the thought and the like. She always hears about the stories where Empress makes it back alive, and they seem. She even makes a comment like they seem more fun in the moment, where she's just like ultra tense, like we're on the run from these people. They're crazy powerful. They're numerous, and they got like some and then they're out to either kill us or kidnap Pan and kill us in the process. So who knows for sure? Uh, where was it here? Okay, so we had kind of talked a little bit, and then I brought her up to speed, and she mentions, we talk about Pan and the helix that she has, and that she says that basically through meditation it did manage to express itself, but it's a very different effect. Like it's kind of like key, but like it's different. There's something very like weird about it. She talked about like the meditation, like the trauma that she experienced, and I come to find out that Saya has, because she's a very good focuser and meditator kind of person. It really benefits her whenever she's able to do it, like before a fight or anything like that. That she has been like looking up lectures and stuff, and one of the lectures she looks up is this guy named Johnny Blaze, and I was like, man, that guy has a punchable face. DM easy to hit. I don't know what it is about him, but no, like, she brings up a lecture with this dude named Johnny Blaze, and it's like there's all these aliens there, or non-Saiyans, I should say, and he's giving a lecture from the perspective of a psychic, and dealing with, like basically positive and negative things, trauma, and like how there is a form of like guided meditation where whether the initial event is good or bad, you can basically pull them out of it or guide them through it to a positive outcome. And it was like an interesting take on things. Like I said, his was more from the perspective of a psychic, but it was like a lecture. It was basically a lecture that a excuse me, that like a therapist might give to other people like looking to explore therapy. And yeah, so Johnny Blaze is out there giving lectures, selling healing crystals, magnets, stuff like that. No, it seemed like it helped Sai, and then it helped. It seemed like it helped Pan as well, but like Pan is still very traumatized by everything that is going on. Um, just not getting to say goodbye to Tetsu, learning that like the whole betrayal, the hidden thing, like who she is, her basically whole world got turned upside down, and to find out that she's this special person that people are after. I still maintain that Saya is the protagonist of this story, and that like Pan like might be her powerful ally or something like that. We're not past that yet. This isn't the Empress show. Let's be real. It's the Form Up Girl show. But like, and Form Up Girl has to protect her friend Pan, who has people after her. And Empress is there too, in the background, just doing like side character things. Uh, so we had talked for a bit about that. Like the lecture wraps up, and she had basically explained how she had been using that with Saya, and Saya's been using that with Pan, and that there has been some progress, but like Pan's still pretty in a pretty rough spot. Rohan comes up, and I'm thinking about it, and he had worked as like in a mining operation on this planet named Kyle, and it orbits a star named Mandalese, which is a red dwarf that is releasing a ton of radiation, and it's good for hiding because like the signals are always disrupted. Yeah, okay. So Emrys like brings up a couple things of, well, if it's really good at hiding, is it one of those places where people know they go to hide? Because then, of course, we just don't want to do that. The so like Emrys's plan is more so, let's just find like a remote asteroid belt, stick ourselves in the belly, run silent, and ride out until we get our contact. Um, uh, they kind of like go a little bit back and forth about the plan, because Emrys questions about, like, he doesn't immediately dismiss it. He just wants to feel out like how things are, like what this place is as far as things go. And yeah, he lets Saya bring Rohan up to speed with the mission, because like I said, Umrus had like talked to Saya about the originators, like the faction they're dealing with, like possibly their motivations, how wide-reaching they are. Like this is Republic related, not just like our little corner of the world, but like we've got to like pull our way through it, and do our part. And then, like, hopefully Emrys can get back to his family, make sure everything's okay with them, and yeah. So, Emrys like shares that along. He's been going for like a day and a half now, and there's probably gonna be a fight coming, and he's also very tired. So he's like, okay, I trust Rohan and everything like that. Saya is also up there. Like she's business at this point. Like she knows things are important. She's like, I'm gonna go get some rest. Uh, we basically have a plot of what we're doing. Like we're looking, you're like out there looking for some asteroids or something like that, like some place to lay low, and yeah. If anything comes up, you get me up. I'll be there fast as possible. Like, and then I'm pretty fast, so and we're only on the ship. Uh, and so Emrys goes, gets some sleep, and of course he wakes up to an alarm. I didn't realize it at the time, but I did actually get a good bit of sleep, so I am well rested at least for anything that's coming up. And he rushes to the bridge and learns there's a ship pursuing him. And it is Gon, who Tetsu had Tetsu had suspicions of, but they weren't confirmed. He said, like, I think that Gon is in the originators, and yeah. So he's pursuing him, and man, he's doing like some suspicious stuff. Like, cause like Emrys is like, has he tried to hail us? And he said yes, but he's also using electronic countermeasures to try to hack our systems. Like, so it's, very aggressive and everything like that. So like they had been evading him for the time, and then Emrys kind of like came in, jumped up to Super Saiyan 2 for like the boost and like reflexes and like stuff like that. Just a quick jump, and yeah, just kind of took over the flight and said, "All right, DM, like what's our option here?" And so the problem is, Gon is a high-end military official, and he has high-end military hardware, whereas Emrys has very good hardware, but like it is. I would put his like probably on military grade, but like I don't know exactly how the electronic countermeasures work in that kind of situation. Like how long it would take for them to be compromised or anything like that. So that's something we'll have to look into in the future. But they are. I tell Rohan they are being compromised, and like the DM explains, like I was like, because at first I was just gonna blast this dude out of the sky, and then I was like, wait a second, I was like, I'm going off the word of someone who wasn't even sure of this, and the guy hasn't opened fire on me yet or anything like that either. Which I guess like he assumes I have Pan on board and doesn't want to like destroy her in the process. But like even still, like there is that thing of why run, like the whole run talk fight kind of thing. It's like, yeah, you can run at the start. Like if I can get out of there, I can be supposedly difficult to find. Like I check and make sure, I have Rohan check and make sure as I'm evading him that he hasn't hacked our navigation, because that was the DM said is like the way warp works in that game is like you just need a clear path to somewhere, and what's it called, and it's not like something you can easily track. At least not that I know of. Apparently, you can be easily tracked, as we'll come to find out. Uh, so we do the evasive stuff, get out to warp, and boom, we're out of there. And it does take us to the place that Mandalay Star, because Rohan had said he had programmed it in beforehand, and it's just like a contingency until I had gotten up. But he was like also looking for like an asteroid belt that we could hide in and all this other stuff. So boom, we end up on Mandalese. We're warped out of there. Yeah. We get up to the. We approach the system, and I've got a mining license on the ship, which means we can stay in the ship as opposed to like using transports and everything like that. So that's good. And I basically say, listen, I don't need anyone to know that I'm here, because a lot of people were looking for me. Not many people were looking for you, as far as I know. To Rohan specifically, and he's familiar with the area, and he's familiar with the person that we're going to be reaching out to, because the interference is so thick here. We need access to this like communication satellite to be able to the thing that Tetsuo gave me, that like kind of like communique to High Castle. So he's like, okay, I can ask this old friend of mine, and we can do that. I said, great. And that's where we kind of formulate the plan that like uh, Emrys will be like looking after Rohan, but like Rohan will be as if he is in charge. And like there's these suits that you wear to like deal with the radiation. Now Emrys doesn't need to wear a suit because he's Super Saiyan 2, but like people like Rohan, like on that level, like absolutely need to wear a suit, or they're gonna get like burned or irradiated. Um, so the plan is we go up. The docking crew or whatever, anything like that, reaches out to us, and they said like we're scanning your credentials and everything, and this is like a backwater in the middle of nowhere place, and I'm hoping like that it hasn't reached out here or anything like that, that they're out there looking for me, but you know how that kind of optimism works out. And he says about like he's looking for crew chief Tomo, and I explained to Rohan, it's like when you're in these kind of situations, like because this is kind of like Rohan and Saya's first like outing, like when there's a real element to it, like it's not practice, it's not training or anything like that, and it's just like if you want to avoid suspicion or anything, or like if you want to like it doesn't hurt to like grease a couple palms. So, like Emrys like dashes back to his private stash of stuff, which is usually like to deal with other people because he is a business person, and he like brings out this like bottle of pretty good whiskey, and he's like when you're in that kind of situation, because like he asked like the dock workers after the fact, like, hey, is like crew chief Tomo around, like it's like say like, hey, listen, I got a case of so and so for crew chief Tomo, if you It's like if you let him know we're coming or let me know where he is, there's a bottle in it for you, kind of thing. And maybe get you a little loyalty or something like that. Get you a little, because like most of those people there are just there to earn their pay and live their life. They're not out there to for causes and crusades and someone else comes along and says like, hey. Where's this guy at? And they got a nice bottle coming their way or in their hands. Like I don't know, what do you got to offer? Kind of thing. So at least that little bit of insurance. And so they go out to find Chief Tomo. And he's some dude out there working like with some mining equipment and everything. And he meets up with Rohan. There's a bit of a get together, and the two of them not necessarily catch up, but he says like like we're trying to lay low here, and it's like, I was wondering if I could access the comm satellite, and he's like, well, that's a big ask, like it's like because he's I guess like the guy in charge out here, and he says, I'll tell you what, he's like, you do me a favor, I'll do it for you, and apparently there's this mountain that needs moved because there's this like mining beam thing where they beam up like large sections of material to be processed or like brought off world or something like that. It's like a whole mining operation, and apparently for me, it's nothing to push a mountain. Super Saiyan 2 is like to push a mountain like a mile down the thing. Like I guess like the mountain he says in the background, like it's pretty big and everything like that. It was still good. And I had basically been playing up the part of Rohan's bodyguard, and I was like, and he's like, you seem like you got some muscle too. He's like, you do that, and you guys got access to the satellite communication. I'm like, yeah, this will take me 5 minutes. That's fine. I can handle 5 minutes. So I go out there, and I help the dude. I don't need help from the guy, but like I feel like it was a point of pride thing, so I'd let him tag along, and I basically go out there and I push this. Well, so he tells me like the mountain that was there wasn't the one that was going to be pushed. He's like we call this one the big one, and it's like I guess like several times the size of Everest. And I was like, oh damn, am I still going to do this? He's like, yeah, Flair, you got this. I was like, oh man, like freaking Super Saiyans are everything. So I push it with this guy's help, who's like he's like breaking a sweat and everything like that, and I'm just like, this is effortless. I can do this myself, and I can do it in like half the time. But like he had kind of talked it up that he was doing it. And the dude is a Super Saiyan, like he does power up to Super Saiyan and like that. But so like Emrys is not out there to like make any waves and like show off for himself, especially in this scenario. Like if the guy wants to say like, yeah, me and this other dude like pushed the mountain, that's great. As opposed to just like Emrys doing it himself, like saying like stand aside peasant kind of thing. So they do that, and it's now like they don't have to worry about like the thing realigning because like they're waiting for maintenance or anything like that, and I was like, Emrys is like, man, I need playing up the bodyguard things. Like, man, I need to ask that guy for a raise. It's like I didn't realize we out here pushing mountains. It's like just usually just watching his ass kind of thing. And Tom was like, yeah, for sure. So we do that. We get back. We get the key card. We go to the satellite. Battle of the Red Blade Mountains. Oh, I'd left out a thing earlier with Pan, like the between everything that had happened here is where Emrys had got to talk to Pan a little bit, and basically told like he brought her up to speed on what's going on, and then kind of presented her with the choices. We're going to get you to this high castle, and then from there you can choose what you want to do. You can get the information, and then you can assess the risk, and then we'll go from there. And she's like, I don't want anyone else to die for me. And she's like, thinking it might be me, it might be Rohan, might be Saya, might be the next person, because so far that Kel person and Tetsu has both died for her to protect her, and something she didn't even know about, so she's still traumatized by that. And I was like, listen, And it's like, we all take risks and everything like that. And it's like, it's up to you. Like, if that's the choice you want to go with, I'll respect it. Like, I'm not going to fight you. I'm not going to be the person that's going to be telling you what to do or anything like that. You're an adult at this point. Which is definitely a bit of weight to put on her, but it was like, it's also a very different approach than what Tetsu had taken, where he's like kind of hide everything from her and keep everything from her. And she apologized something about like being a poor soldier because she was in such an emotional state. And I was like, listen, I'm not a soldier. I don't, I don't. There's a reason I kind of steer clear of that kind of stuff. I was like, we're friends. If your world got turned upside down, you had an appropriate response to it. Like, uh, and that's what she told me, some story about like the Red Blade Mountains, where like these people were sent out there on mission, and uh, they they befriended the locals, and then like when the time came like for the mission to be done, they chose to try to aid the locals and accomplish the mission, and everybody died, and the mission was a failure. I was like, man, that sounds like some bullshit military propaganda to me, where it's like, yeah, don't make friends with people, and like just mission, always mission first kind of thing. I was like, yeah, yeah, it's like that. I'm not in that world. Like, as like sometimes you, as like out here as a person and the kind of person you want to be is like you take the, sometimes there's a risk you take, and then sometimes you have to like deal with the consequences of that risk. And the best thing you can do is try to think about it objectively, like if if it's worth the risk or not. I was like, Pan, we're friends, and like you've got friends here, and it's like, to us, you're worth that risk. And then she had said something about like, not one who wants to die for it and everything. And I was like, well, at the end of the day, the decision's yours. Fast forward back to where we were. Get to the satellite, make contact with High Castle. She explains to us that there's a meeting point that we need to get to, and within a certain period, 3 days, is when they're going to make their paths to this place. Um, our job is to lay low, or get there early and hide, or anything like that. She explains a little bit about the originators operating in arcane space for decades. They want to integrate into the Empire, and the premiers are their buy-in. So basically, the idea is the originators infiltrate. Some of them infiltrate the Empire. They look for these premiers, and then like they bring them over, and that's kind of like their buy-in to be able to be a part of Nairobi's Empire. Um, Makes sense. Uh, yeah, she wants to know Pan's name, and she says like, Tetsu never told her. I was like, well, maybe there was something to it with the old man. I was like, you can find out your meter. And she's like, she kind of laughs. She says like, that's what he told me too. And I was like, well, Emerson isn't out here to make waves like that. I was like, listen, that's what Tetsu wanted. Like, we'll honor that fact of it, and then you can find out her name whenever you meet her. Mm, we She explains the originators. We talk a little bit about Pam, but I don't tell her name. And oh yeah, she says is the the premier thing. Like, the people are really after the helixes for some reason. People with the helix premier trait, and also that people who, like, is the trait awakened. And I said yes, partially. It has like at least once. And she says they can track that. I said, okay. I was like, we're gonna get out of here. I was like, I don't think it's been active recently, but at least not since we made the jump. So I was like, okay, that's good. Um, we're gonna get out of here. I'll see you in a couple days. Oh, I asked her like, as far as like if I'm being pursued or anything like that. Is like there any like side plan? Like, do I just still come there? Like, do I bring whatever's there? And she's like, we can handle whatever come there. I'm like, okay, good. So we're not dealing with some like ragtag like single ship or anything like that. Because like Emmer's ship is nice, and Emmer's is a Super Saiyan too. So if they're like, yeah, bring one over. Like, maybe they got like some threes and maybe a four over there that can deal with some nonsense. So that's good. That was reassuring. Um, that kind of thing is always good to hear, because I was just like, yeah, I was just expecting like, yo, yeah, if you have someone pursuing you, like, you better run. Like, no one here is even a Super Saiyan or anything like that. We're just working in the shadows. I was like, oh god, this is gonna be terrible. yeah, so we unattach everything and everything like that, and I go to open the door, and freaking Gon is standing there, and he's a Super Saiyan 3, which I didn't realize. Like, oh god damn it! Like somehow he tracked us, and he's already here, and he found us in the because like my senses are messed up by this radioactive field, like my ship senses and my personal senses, like to the point where it's difficult to see what's going on around you. And like the DM even said, like it made a little bit more sense. Like, oh, what I sensed earlier that didn't set off any alarms wasn't like an anomaly or like a magnetic anomaly or something like that, or just like a burst of radiation. Because those bursts do happen all the time. It was probably a Super Saiyan 3 like entering atmosphere. Um, so yeah, it was just like because I guess like it's like one of those ones like there's these radioactive bursts that happen all the time, and it was like basically impossible to tell the difference between the Super Saiyan 3 and like one of those radioactive bursts that just were happening. So it's like it didn't trigger my senses or anything like that. So he's there and he starts to say something, and I immediately like throw Rohan like back into the room we came from. Now he's not safe there, but it's like one of those ones where it's like if this guy like cracks me at Super Saiyan 3, like the shockwave alone is gonna kill Rohan. Like that like there's that kind of gap where it's like even though like Super Saiyan 1, like I had to be careful, and in Super Saiyan 2 I definitely had to be careful around people. Like just the sheer force that you can put behind like blows and punches is enough to kill like people like Rohan without ever even getting close to them. Just like the shockwave ripping through me kind of thing. And he starts to say something, and there's this lava blade that bursts through his chest, and and it's Mitsukaro there, and she kills him, and like he just dies a horrible death, and she's a 3 as well, but like she just one shot this Gon dude. And I was like, oh, thank goodness, like because that's not a fight I wanted to take. And Mitsukaro is like, yeah, where's the girl? She's like, she's coming with me, and I'm like, wait, what? It's just oh my gosh. So it was like a double cross. And apparently Mitsukaro is one of these originators. And I'm just like, wait, like why does she go on with you? Because I'm thinking first of all, I'm thinking it can't be Mitsukaro. And I'm not gonna get into why because it plays very heavily into what Emrys is going to do in the next session, and I'll let you guys know how it pans out and how poorly it actually goes. But I feel like she thought Emrys was playing dumb, whereas like Emrys was genuinely confused as to why Mitsukari would be involved with this, specifically regarding her current station and what she's kind of accomplished on her own. And it's like I guess like the spoiler I can kind of give away, at least from my perspective, is why would you trade a promised kingdom for a kingdom that you've already built through your own ambition, talent, and power? She has a kingdom. She has a world. She has people who love her, and she controls thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, maybe even millions, as far as the military might goes. Now she still answers to Uncle Makoto, but like do this in the Empire, you still answer to Emperor Nairobi. Like you're just you're trading a kingdom that you've earned for one that was promised. And yeah, the promised one's probably gonna be promised to be bigger, but like you've already got your kingdom. You've already did the work to earn a kingdom. Like, it just that's why Emrys is like very confused as to what's going on. I guess I spoiled it anyway, but that's the kind of the route he's gonna go. Because like she's like don't play dumb, and I'm like, yeah, I'm not playing dumb. Like what you're doing legitimately doesn't make sense. Uh, but she has a blade to his neck and everything like that, and she's like, where's the girl? I was like, she's on my ship. You know, it's just like there's nothing query like that. Like she just one shot a Super Saiyan 3, and like there's those things in 3 where like even Dakawan, who's a fresh 3, but he's also like not like highborn, but like kind of like that higher bloodline kind of thing where it's like they've like there's like that inherent talent to it. um that gap is used. Mitsukaro is like I've been there done that 3, and it's gonna be scary. um yeah, so that's where we're put on pause. uh he does explicitly like make sure that like because it's like he was thinking like, oh, Mitsukaro wants to take Pan back with the military, and uh, and just like, you know, they're gonna look after her there, like they're taking out of Emerus's hands, but like you know, times of the factor, she killed the traitor, and we're gonna get out of here. And then when she pulls the blade to his neck, or she basically appears in front of him, pulls the blade to his neck, it's like, oh, she's a bastard, and she lied to my brother, which means she's got to die. But usually Emrys is like, whenever we're dealing with like a Super Saiyan 3 or something like that, at least he has like another Super Saiyan 2, like maybe a couple other people with him, or, you know, Emrys usually isn't like the top dog in these fights, like as far as a fighter goes, because like right now it's basically Premier Pan, who's a Super Saiyan 1, and Sai and Rohan are like irrelevant. The only thing I'm thinking is like, beyond, like, first, because I do want to talk to Mitsukara, like I want to hash this out. Uh, the only other thing, like, I'm thinking, like, as an ace in the hole is Saya proving herself to be the main character and firing up the ship's laser when we go together, and just because, you know, those lasers destroy planets like with ease, so you can destroy a Super Saiyan 3 with this ship. And maybe they see it coming, or maybe like I can stall it long enough where they blast Mitsukara with it, and then like Sai, you know, basically gets a Super Saiyan 3 kill out of it, and, you know, she launches her story of her becoming like the true main character. But that's where I was put on pause, so we'll see what happens next time.